So this is the third video in this series answering the questions that you posted on Facebook about no-pay MBAs and about studying business online via MOOC. So several people had questions about employment, including Raine, Abhishek, Srinivasarao, I hope I'm saying that right, Aman, and Rani, as well as several others. So I'll take the first question from Casey, and her question is, how could someone legitimately say, I have an MBA without accreditation? Does your program aim to find a solution to that problem? So it's true, you can't say that you have an MBA if you don't actually have an MBA from an institution that grants degrees. But here are some things that you can say. One thing you can say is, I have a business education equivalent to an MBA. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it would be to say, I'm taking or I have taken business courses from some of the world's top business schools. A third way would be to say, I'm studying towards an MBA. So you don't tell somebody that you actually have an MBA, but you are taking coursework that would be the same kind of coursework you would take towards an MBA. So another question about employment comes from Marta. And she says, from your experience, are potential employers likely to treat MOOC courses seriously? Does it actually help with career progression? And here's a question from Ronnie. I would like to know what you found out about what employers and HR, what is their perception about an MBA through MOOCs? Do you think MOOC MBA holders stand a fair chance when they go up against non-MOOC MBA candidates for a position, assuming that all the other criteria are close to identical? This is a great question, and this question is all about marketing. So I really do think that whether you're taken seriously or not for your MOOC MBA depends on how you market yourself. But among certain employers, yes, absolutely, they take this seriously. I think it demonstrates a high level of intrepidness, of independence, of self-direction that employers find very attractive. So I think, again, if you tell your story well, my experience is that employers are sometimes more impressed with this than they would be with a regular degree. Another question on this comes from Dominic. He says, hi Laurie, great idea to gather FAQs. My question is, you've tilted the business education that you've gained to your advantage in the world of startup enterprise. Is the no-pay MBA better suited to entrepreneurs than to those looking to leverage their studies with employers? Thanks. So Dominic, this is a great question. I love this question. And here's why. So I didn't go into this experience planning to be an entrepreneur. And I actually think that for people who are already employed, the value proposition from a course of study like this is actually the strongest. So think about it this way. If your employer already knows you and really wants to see you move into a management role, this is a great way for you to get the knowledge and the skills that you need, and you can apply them directly on the job. So it would be really easy for an employer who already knows you, knows your work, believes in you, to say, okay, this is a great way for you to get that education, and then we can move you directly into a management role. Of course, as my experience shows, it's also great for entrepreneurs, but I certainly don't think that this is something that is limited to entrepreneurs over people who are employed. And then a question from Christopher in Honolulu, Hawaii. Is the no-pay MBA program going to work alongside such platforms as Coursolve to provide opportunities to showcase and apply their new knowledge? And related to that, is there an initiative to enlighten potential employers and make them more open-minded as to what the value is from learning via MOOCs? So the answer to this is yes. So Coursolve is a digital internship platform, and I'll be working with them to provide opportunities for people who are working on no-pay MBAs so that they can gain practical experience and also be connected to potential employers. And then alongside that, I will definitely be marketing this entire concept to employers. And I really believe it's only a matter of time before people know and understand the value of the no-pay MBA brand. So another question on brand value comes from Amit, and he says, Laurie, one of the main values of doing an MBA from a reputed university is the impact it has on the brand value of the student. For example, the fact that you got admissions at Harvard and completed an MBA from there is equally or perhaps more important as compared to what you learned at Harvard. How will a no-pay MBA or any MOOC overcome this brand value deficiency, since anyone can do these courses without any selection criteria? So I also think this is a great question. And I guess I'll have to answer almost from a philosophical standpoint, which is that I really do believe that the admissions process should actually happen at the end of your studies. I believe that this education should be open to anybody, and that process of proving yourself and proving that you have an aptitude for business should really only happen after you've taken those courses. So I don't have that process in place yet, but I really do think it's, again, just a matter of time before people understand how MOOCs differ from a regular university program, and before there is something in place to make up for the fact that there isn't an admissions process which can then kind of give this brand value to the student. But I do think that there are plenty of opportunities for people to market themselves, and that's something that I'm going to be providing support to people who join the No-Pay MBA network. And then a question from Philippe. Do you think that passing the GMAT exam could add value to a no-pay MBA? This is a tricky question. Actually, this is a great idea. So this gets back to the same thing that Amit was asking, is if you don't go through that admissions process, how do you kind of build your brand value as a student? So I think perhaps passing the GMAT could be one way to do that. The question I would have about that is, how would you then present that? Would you put it on your resume? Would you tell somebody about it? Would you write it in a letter? How would anybody know that you had passed the GMAT exam? Especially since people outside of the business school world don't know much about the GMAT exam. They don't know what a good score is. They may not even know what that exam is. So I think from a theoretical standpoint, yes, passing an exam like that could help to demonstrate that you would have been qualified to get into a regular MBA program. But the question would come later on. How would you actually then present that to anybody? And then finally, a few questions on No-Pay MBA and the services that I'll be offering. So I had a couple questions about whether No-Pay MBA would be moving into more specialized areas of business or other areas besides business. So for example, RJ, who asked, is there a chance that MOOCs will also cater to a specialized MBA in the health sector? And a question from Enrique, who said, are you planning to scale to other areas such as a No-Pay MBA computer science degree? So here's my answer to both of you. So I'm not planning specifically to move into any other areas besides just general business. However, the No-Pay MBA model is totally flexible. So you can use this model that I've created to study something besides business, and then within a business degree, you also have total freedom when it comes to developing your concentration, which could be in computer science, it could be in health, it could be in any other subject that you're interested in. So that's the answer to that question. And then finally, I've got a question from Jorge, which is, how much will it cost to enroll in the No-Pay MBA program, and will financial aid be available for low-income students? So to Jorge and others who are wondering about prices, let me just tell you that all will be revealed by the end of this month. There won't be financial aid, but I think that you will find that the prices of what I'm offering are affordable enough that you probably won't need it. So again, thanks to everybody who submitted questions via Facebook, and a lot more information is coming your way over the rest of this month, so I hope you'll stay with us.